So thank you for being here for this episode of the Canmore Trust Podcast. We will be dealing with the subject of mental ill health and, of course, with suicide. And your safety is paramount to us here at the Canmore Trust. So if anything of today's discussions concerns you or activates concerns within you about your own safety, please do reach out. You can engage with the Canmore Trust any time of the day or night by texting Canmore, Canmore, to 85258. Or you can call the Papyrus 24/7 Hope line on 0800 068 4141. That's 0800 068 4141. Or you can call the Samaritans any time of the day or night on 116 123. The Canmore Trust's website, www.thecanmoretrust.co.uk, has an extensive list of resources for anyone seeking help on any aspect of well-being, mental ill health or suicide. So I can't emphasise this enough. If you're struggling, please reach out. And if you're concerned about someone else, please reach out. Thank you. So, Lisa, many thanks for being here for the Canmore Trust podcast. We've been waiting a while to get you in the chair, and it's lovely to have you with us. We're going to talk about some tough things today, but in preparation for that, I wonder if you would just tell us a wee bit about who you are and your background, where you're from, and all of that stuff.
Okay, so my name's Lisa. I'm originally from East Kilbride. I now stay in the north of Glasgow with my 3 children. I am a dentist, and when I was studying dentistry, that's where I met my husband Alan when I was 19, all those years ago, now 33. And we shared a life together. We met, we got engaged, got married and had children, just had everything I could ever have hoped for and dreamed for in my future. And I was just so happy just to, meet that person and, had a family together, building the future together. And then 2.5 years ago, he took his own life completely out of the blue. And before he died, I actually had 2 jobs as a dentist and I actually worked at NHS 24 on the phones as well. And I was on maternity leave, so I was getting ready to go back to work. And 2.5 years in, I'm still not back at work. I feel in many ways my life is completely paused. And I've just really kind of thrown myself into looking after my children, 2 of whom have got additional support needs as well that, having to manage alone. But they've definitely kept me strong. Yeah.
I'd just like to say at the outset, Lisa, the way that you have coped with Alan's death and moved forward has been nothing short of inspirational.
Thank you.
And that's true for many people looking on. Now, I know that you will have some really tough days and all of that. Yeah. But just to affirm you in what you're doing, and we'll come to how you're doing it and how you're coping in due course. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely inspirational.
Thank you.
Just really grateful to see the suicide community embrace you and love you for all that you are and all that you bring to us.
Thanks.
So the tragedy that brings us to the table today and to the discussion today is that you've lost to suicide.
Yes.
And you've lost this amazing man, your lovely husband, Alan, from your life. Can you tell us a wee bit about that and about your husband, Alan? Would that be okay?
Yeah, of course. I think most people that have lost somebody to suicide, they would just say that person, they would light up a room. They would light up a dark room. He was just so full of life. His personality almost like sparkled in a way. He was just so charismatic, so funny. He made everyone laugh. He was like a big kid at heart. He was always joking. And he was so popular. He had so many friends. And, coming to do like our wedding list, it was just never ending, all these friends. He had so many more friends than me. And I feel in some ways I was just kind of known as Alan's wife kind of thing because he was just so popular in a way. He was always joking. And when he became a dad as well, he was a brilliant dad. It was really fun with the kids as well. And they just absolutely adored him. It was just so much fun. And he was just so well respected in his job as well. Patients really liked him. His colleagues really liked him. He'd only been in the one dental practice like his whole life. Yeah. He was just so fun. And it's almost just like there was nobody else kind of like him. They're irreplaceable, and like that's the thing. Like just it's so sad.
And he was a season ticket holder at Ibrox.
Yes, he was a massive Rangers fan, and it's funny because as things were getting more serious in our relationship, he did say to me I go to every single Rangers game without fail, I'll be there, European games, everything, but he'll blame me for this, but when we actually started dating, that's when Rangers got demoted, held out in those leagues. He blamed me for it, but so I wasn't really aware at that point of what a kind of travelling Rangers fan is like, because they weren't in Europe, they weren't travelling anywhere. He was travelling, he was going to Brecon in the middle of nowhere, watching them in a field play, but he was a dedicated Rangers fan. He went to every single game, and a lot of fans were just walked away at that point. Maybe they're back now they're back in the kind of the Premier League, but he went to every single game. He was
through thick and thin.
Yeah, every single game, every single European game. And obviously the year before he died, they had the Seville run as well, where they got all the way to the final.
Sure.
And that was probably a real highlight for him. The actual original final, I think it was maybe 2008 when their European Cup final, he couldn't go to it because he had his dental school exam, and he asked the dean at the time, can I go to this game and sit my exam in the morning? And they said no, and I'm not going to lie.
Disaster.
But do you know, I think the thing is as well, he failed it. So he was why did I even do this? You could have went to the game. So he actually resat it, and then he obviously qualified 6 months after. So I think that's one of the things. So I can't believe he missed that game. Yeah, they lost both of them as well.
So you've shared that Alan was a dentist, and I know that
Yes.
he was a dentist who loved patients and worked to the highest standard.
Yeah.
We often hear stories that professional people have had a complaint or something that's happened against them which has brought them to a place of suicidal crisis.
Yes.
To your knowledge, was that Alan's story, or was there something different in all of that?
That was the first thing I thought of, John, to be honest. And my friend worked with him at the time, and I phoned her and I was like, can you check, was there any complaints? Was there a GDC referral? Because he was the kind of person, if he ever did, and he never got any complaints. It was just, you get patients kind of moaning or niggling. He would almost catastrophise it a little bit, and he'd be on the phone to every single dentist in his phone book, telling them the story and what happened and what they thought. And I'm 7 years younger than Alan, and I was just that's totally fine. It's nothing to worry about at all. These are not big deals. But I think for me as well as a dentist, what we do, we'll have a day of 30 patients and one thing will go wrong and the rest will be right, and we'll just dwell on that one thing and go home and be oh, I could have done that better, that patient will be happy with that. What if they complain? What if it's a GDC? What if I lose my job? You just totally catastrophise it, and I think it is just that culture. So he absolutely was a worrier, but so was I. So were a lot of my friends, just the same way we'd all react. And there was nothing in his work, no complaints, nothing at all.
And I guess just as an aside, one of the things that was important in all of that was that Alan did discuss his concerns with other people.
Yeah, that's the thing that he always kind of said when he was anxious.
He brought it into the light.
Yes, you think because they're sharing oh, I'm worried about this, worried about that. You think because they're kind of talking, and sometimes I'd just be oh, nothing to worry about, it's fine, and going on about it. But I was it's good he's talking about it and things, definitely. Yeah, so it just shows.
So no obvious stuff in the background here at all.
Nothing.
And then Alan takes his life.
Yeah, there was nothing at all. And the months leading up to his death, because you're really thinking back, was there anything going on here? And we had just had our third child, so life was very, very busy. And, we'd been holiday at the start of the year in January to Dubai. He then went away to his friends on holiday in February. So things were kind of happy, and I was about to go back to work the next week. And things were kind of almost settling as well. We'd got through all the sleepless nights. My daughter was sleeping a bit better. Our boys were getting older. My oldest was at school. My youngest was my middle child. He was just about to start school. So we'd almost got through that hard part of parenting and almost kind of reaping the rewards of, really enjoying being a family unit together. But, so I just didn't notice anything. But some kind of pictures I share on social media, some people comment, he doesn't look there behind the eyes. It's almost and you look back at pictures when you've done this and you're just trying to think of clues, do they look different? Is there something gone? Is the light gone? You really do. There's nothing.
So, Lisa, tough question to ask, but can you tell us about those first few days and weeks after Alan died? Can you take us back to that point and tell us a wee bit about what happened, how you felt, what went on?
Well, I found out, most people were the same, by the police coming to the door. There wasn't that kind of missing person searching for him. It was the way he kind of chose to end his life was very sudden. It was very close to home. So the police actually got to my door maybe an hour later. They were very, very quick using his car registration. And I thought it was him coming home from work. And then when I saw the police officers, because my mum was in the house, I thought something happened to my dad because he worked away. He was in Aberdeen. Okay. So I thought something's happened to my dad. I just couldn't actually process that this could be Alan they're talking about. And they asked me to sit down and telling me that he had died, just there was nothing else like it. It was like the wind being taken right out of you. I thought I was going to actually throw up, and I'm not really a person that's sick very often like that. So I was on the floor. I couldn't make any noise. It was just like, everything went like numb, silent. Your hearing goes. It's crazy. And then while this is going on, my eldest son was upstairs, not sleeping, wondering what was going on because the police were downstairs. One officer was trying to keep him up the stairs. My mum's trying to keep him up the stairs, wondering what's going on, get to me. Like, he's quite anxious, so he was trying to like make sure like I was getting to sleep. It was just like, world's ended, and I just felt that like your life's over, your world's over kind of thing. And then obviously the police were there. But when they go, like, you have to quickly snap back, right? I need to get my kids to sleep now. I need to get them back to bed. I need to get them to school in the morning. Like, so it was just so dark. And texting people that night just to let them know, I couldn't even typing it like Alan's killed himself. Like, I just was reading it like, is this actually happening?
Sure.
I felt that like I was watching somebody else's life rather than my own play out. The shock is just so unbelievable. And I think it's a protective mechanism as well, the shock. And that fight or flight, I felt like I probably could have ran all night because there's that amount of adrenaline going through you. And I don't think I slept for about 2 full nights. I couldn't eat for weeks afterwards, and I couldn't believe how I didn't feel hungry. Okay. And I was just like, my mum was like, you need to eat this, eat that. And it's funny because everybody's dropping off food to you. Everyone's dropping off like lasagnas, and it's obviously good for the kids and other people and things like that, but I couldn't eat anything. Just this shock. It's a really dark time.
And then if you're anything like our story, things just happen round about you. You've got decisions to make about funeral and all of that stuff, yeah. And then the bleakest time for me was when the funeral was over and everyone else went back to work and their life. Was that your experience as well? Was that the tough time for you too?
The funeral was actually quite a long time after he died because there's an investigation carried out. So the police were in our house every day for about 5 weeks, and they just come and go as when their shifts are on and things. So you're getting the kids out, trying to make sure they're out the house for all of this. So there was a lot of investigations. I was questioned quite heavily by them as well. They're trying to figure out like what your marriage was like. I was then going in the background, and it was just took days of questioning, just trying to make sure there was no foul play and there was no like extortion, blackmail, things like that. They're trying to rule out. Sure. Then on top of that, you have to wait the post-mortem. There was a bank holiday in the middle, and then plan a funeral. And plan a funeral, you're just like, is this actually happening? Am I actually doing this? Is this real? Because Alan left to go to work that morning. I never got to see his body. I never got to see him again. So the next time I seen him, he was in his coffin, and it was just like, I can't believe this. And in some ways, you kind of feel like he's going to just walk through the door. And sometimes I still feel that way. You're going to see him again. It's a really, really strange thing. And
I do 2 6 years further on. I sometimes look out the window and I think I'm going to see Cam in his van coming up the driveway.
Sometimes you'll see somebody, just a stranger walking past, it reminds you of them, and you're just like, oh, like that. Their mannerisms, they're kind of like they were here. But the funeral, you're right, everybody, like, I had so much support. I couldn't believe it. The amount of messages coming in. And it's quite sad because my son was kind of seeing my WhatsApp messages, and he obviously seen Alan, and he was like, oh, Daddy's now down the bottom of your messages now. And I'm like, he'll always be there because he's never going to text me back. But so many people reached out, people that I hadn't spoken to in 10 years, people that I'd went to school with and lost touch with, people that I worked with and never seen again. It was unbelievable outpouring support. And obviously, just I'm sure like Cameron's funeral, the funeral was so well attended. But I kind of agree with you. I think that there was actually a few people that didn't really reach out at the time, but they waited about a year and then they reached out, and then they came in really strongly, friendships then, because I feel that's when you actually need support, it's years down the line. Because after people's funeral, and one of my really close friends, she lost her dad very young at 22. I went to funeral, but then I kind of thought, actually, what did that actually do for her after? Because I just felt after funeral, you just think life, that's it, back to normal again, everybody's wrapped up in their own lives. But how have we learned
lessons for life?
Absolutely, and I feel quite sad that I didn't reach out as much as I could have, been there for her as much as I could have. But
So speaking of support, you relatively quickly found your way to a place called Here. Yes.
Yeah.
In Springburn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you met the now internationally famous Natalie and Anton.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What has that meant to you? And can you tell us a wee bit about what has happened there that has made your grief journey, I wouldn't say easier, but much more supported, it feels like?
Yeah, so a place called Here, it was set up about a year and a half into my grief journey. And before then, I was probably doing what a lot of people, maybe yourself, done. I just ran away from the grief, ran away from the trauma, distracted myself. I was out all the time. I was keeping busy, taking the kids out, holiday all the time, just what people do to run away, not deal with the grief. And I always kind of looked into support groups and I couldn't find any. There wasn't any near me. There isn't a SOBS in Glasgow. So there was nothing. And then when they set the group up, there were about 5 people on social media. I was like, oh, look at this is perfect for you. They obviously knew that's exactly what I needed as well. I had joined Widowed and Young, which is a charity, and had been going to a few of those events, but it's different losing someone to cancer than it is a suicide. And sometimes I would meet these women who are all very nice, but I would also be very quite resentful that they got to say goodbye to their loved one and I didn't, and I just felt that I didn't fit in. I felt I was a fraud, and I was kind of like, your husband didn't want to die, mine's did, and I just felt like I didn't really belong in there. So when a place called Here, I was just like, oh, I'm going to go to this, and I messaged the Instagram page, and Natalie, like right away, just through talking to her online, knew that we would connect really well. We're both quite similar and just both clicked, and something like this, it wouldn't work, it wouldn't be successful unless Natalie and Anton were just the most loveliest, nicest people. So and you were there the first night with me as well, and you couldn't believe and see the numbers that were there that first night. That still happens now a year on.
It's amazing.
They're celebrating their 1-year anniversary tonight, which is absolutely amazing. They've been registered as a charity. I've met so many friends, connections through them, and I just kind of feel like, oh, I've got a place I belong almost, because I do have amazing friends and family, but I don't know about you. You don't want to like trauma dump in them. They're all they're getting married, having kids. I don't want to be like, I'm having a really bad day, so I've got them.
Do you know what still strikes me about that night?
Yeah.
Because it was amazing. I don't know, there were 35 people in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And we all went round and told
their story,
who we were and our association with suicide. And there were huge tears. There were floods of tears, yes. But then we found ourselves laughing.
Yeah.
And the beauty of that is there's no judgment in the room, because we all completely get it. We all completely understand what's going on.
Yeah. Humour's a huge part as well. You have to have a sense of humour. And of course we cry together, but we also laugh together as well and celebrate their lives, which is just so lovely, because before I went to that meeting, I couldn't look at a picture of Alan. I couldn't see his name. I couldn't see the word suicide. I was very much almost like in denial as it happened almost.
So you've also started a pretty amazing online presence called the Widow Diaries.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think we were all, when it started, thinking, oh my goodness, this is early days yet. You know, Lisa's sharing her heart here online. This is early days yet. But it's been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a wee bit about why you did this and what's happened during the course of all of that?
Yeah, of course. So even in the early days of what happened to Alan, I was always kind of searching for online presence, like any influencers that had been through the same thing as me. And there are widow influencers out there, but again, it's just quite different. They might be further along in their journey. They might have like remarried at a different stage in life. And again, they've not lost to suicide. It's just such a complicated grief as well. And I couldn't really find anybody. And I kind of felt like, because I never really spoke about what happened for the best part of 2 years probably, I just kind of started this Instagram page and just kind of started like pouring my heart out really. And even this week, I have no idea what I'm going to post, what I'm going to share. It just kind of happens like naturally. And I had no idea like where it would kind of take me to and things. And obviously sitting right here is a weird thing it's taken me to as well. So it's been so amazing to connect with people that have lost to suicide. People messaged me who were children at the time they lost a parent, and they said that like follow my account because they can see from their mum's point of view that was left at the time they didn't understand. It's just been so amazing to connect with others as well and kind of share my story. And I'm not sure if I'll do it forever. What I really want to get into is writing books. That's what I really want to do, but hopefully this will kind of hopefully tie in with all that as well.
So one of the things that people say to me all the time, well, you're far too busy and, you know, make time for yourself. But for me, and I'm assuming this is the same for you, as you reach out to help other people, you get this shed load of just goodness back at you and healing back at you, you know? So it's not just all about giving. You as you give out, you absolutely receive back.
Absolutely.
Is that your experience?
Absolutely. And especially people that are further along their journey than me, they reach out to me and I can ask them questions about their children, what are they like now? And sometimes their children are adults and they always say that their kids have turned out great and they've got great jobs and they're happy, and that like it fills me with so much hope for myself. So yeah, it's really, really special because like I feel like everybody helps each other by reaching out, definitely. So I really appreciate every single message connection that I get, definitely.
This whole thing of community, which we're part of. I'm not sure we'd stick our hands up and volunteer to be part of it, but we find ourselves here and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So just to go back a little bit, I think you've shared that you're a dentist.
Yes.
So can you tell us about your career? Why a dentist? You know,
I know, how long have you got?
There'll be people watching this podcast thinking, why would you ever want to be a dentist? You know?
No, it's funny because I'm actually couldn't decide between being a dentist or a vet. I think that's a lot of people's kind of choice. Yeah. And then I just was like, I can't put an animal down. I just don't know if I could cope with that. So I had braces, kind of felt like helped my confidence when I was a child. I was very, very shy, very insecure, and having a brace was like, this is amazing.
Are you having a laugh that Lisa Marshall was shy and insecure?
I really was. I really was, definitely. I don't know, maybe I'm an only child. I never used to like speak to anybody. I was very, very quiet and subdued, believe it or not, definitely.
I think if I brought your entire dental year in here and said that to them, we'd say, you're having a laugh.
Well, I don't think I'm like that person anymore either. I look back, I'm just like, oh, what was I like? But yeah, my dentist, I just kind of fell into it. I wanted to help people and I just thought I would apply for it. And when I went to school where maybe a couple of people got 5 A's, it wasn't really a kind of like top school. Yeah. So when I had the careers thing, the girl sat in front of me and she was like, my dentist is this, he's a flute player, he's this, like, what is it you exactly do? And I was just like, I'm going to show this woman that I'm going to be a dentist just to prove her wrong, because she was basically like, you're not good enough to be a dentist kind of thing. So I got there, I did, which was amazing. And my career, it hasn't been plain sailing. Nothing's ever really worked out for me. I was always very envious of Alan because he had a job for his whole life in his one practice for me. And obviously having kids have got a lot to do with it as well. You know, obviously my VT year, I had a brilliant VT trainer, but the partner didn't like me, the other dentist in the practice, and I was so like upset when people didn't like me. I felt like I cared so much people thought of me and things, and it's funny because now I couldn't care less after what I went through, which is quite liberating. But each job I was in, something would happen and it just wouldn't work out. The next job, I fell pregnant. That was my first son, and practice owner said, I need you in that surgery making money, not off maternity leave. And I think after that, that's the kind of relationship kind of ended there. So I left and I loved that practice as well, really liked it. The next practice, I loved that practice as well. It was closer to home. I'm still in touch with the nurses. And when I was finishing up my second baby, the practice owner sold the practice and the new owner came in, took my job and just said, this is what happens when you're part-time and I'm full-time. And I totally understand that he'd want a full-time job as a new owner, but I was 36 weeks pregnant and I was just like, I'm just a number here. Nobody actually cares about me and my family. I'm just like, that. Picked a job next, it was fully private, but then I wanted to be NHS, that didn't work out, and then so I went back to NHS. And then when I worked in a practice I loved, they actually got rid of me. They said I wasn't good enough because I perforated a tooth, and I was just like, that really affected me. And it's funny because at the time I was like, my world has ended here, I've lost my job, I'm so embarrassed. And it's funny because now looking back I'm like, that really wasn't a big deal at all. And I got another job straight away after that, and I was really, really happy there, and that's the job I was due to go back to. So each time something just happened. And then it's really funny because when Alan died, guess who was the only practice that reached out to me? The ones that sacked me, believe it or not. They're the only ones that actually reached out and sent lovely condolences, sent lovely flowers. No other owner actually reached out at all. And some people have done since, which has been really, really nice. But, sometimes I feel, was I actually meant to be a dentist when things just aren't working out? I don't really know. I feel a bit lost, definitely.
Okay. You've been through some troubled times in your career, and now you've lost you've lost Alan. Have you ever been suicidal?
I wouldn't say I've been suicidal. When Alan died, I didn't think I'd get through the first week. I was like, how am I going to do this? I'm not going to be able to manage this at all. And I just kind of took it week by week. I was like, second week I'm still here, third week I'm still here. But it was actually maybe 2 years in, and I really, really struggled with intrusive thoughts, and that's just part of having PTSD. And they came out of nowhere, and it was basically I was on holiday with my family, and I was quite high up on the floor in the hotel, and I had a balcony outside. And as soon as I saw the balcony, I don't know if it's because Alan jumped to his death, but I just got flashbacks of that. And the whole week I was just worried so much that I would fall off the balcony, and it was like my body was in fight or flight again, and I kept thinking about worrying about that, the kids falling off it, and it just completely ruined my holiday. Okay. So I wouldn't say that, but I feel like intrusive thoughts, they can be quite debilitating, and it's so hard to kind of manage as well, definitely. So I wouldn't say I was suicidal, but I've definitely had really hard times.
You shared something earlier which I have found really helpful, going to a SOBS meeting, and you found the same at a place called Here. Yeah. When you sit in a group of people and some of those people are further on than you are on the grief journey. So I remember going to my first SOBS meeting. I was 3 months out from Cameron's death.
Where were we?
And there was a lady sitting up beside me who was 3 years on from her son's death. And I looked at her and I thought,
how are you still here? Like, yeah.
Did I get to 3 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's such, the peer support aspect is so important.
Yes, absolutely.
It makes you think, even if I can just see you next month again, even if I can, in a place called Here's Case, it's see you next week, which is so important. Can I get through next week to be here again?
Absolutely.
Such an important thing of encouraging each other.
It really is. And sometimes in the meetings as well, I'll notice the change from people that came at the very start with me and the change in their lives and how positive and how amazing they're doing as well. And that really inspires me as well. You just feel normal, you feel like you belong, because when this happened to me, I thought, I'm the only person it's happened to. It was just a total bomb going off, definitely.
And let me tell you that you are now the person that's encouraging and inspiring other people.
Thank you.
No, you are. And I think it's really helpful that you know that, because we're all in this together, and this community thing is so important.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about what do you think you've learned about yourself since Alan died? Because you've told us a wee bit about who you were before.
Yeah.
Are you a different person now? Are you the same person? And what have you learned about yourself during that time?
I'm a completely different person. It's almost like pre-Alan and post-Alan, and even that kind of year after grief, I'm so different to that person as well in that early stages of grief. It changes you in every way, and I feel it strips you back to like a blank canvas where you have to really look at yourself. And I didn't think I was strong enough to get through something like that, so I was like, well, I need to change myself. I need to become that person to get through this. I really felt before I was quite a weak person. I wasn't very independent. This is what happened, I lived at home, moved in with Alan, and I was just, that's it, housewife. I wasn't independent. I really just focused on my kids. I never really done anything for myself, if that made sense. And then like friendships as well, I didn't put as much effort into that as I should have done before as well. So that's so important to me now. But yeah, I think it's taught me that like I'm stronger than I think. But being strong, I think before I thought was powering through this and getting through this. It's not. It's about falling down and getting back up bit by bit. And it's about reaching out for help and admitting that I can't do it all. I need help, definitely. And
this is a very tough question. Mm-hmm. And you and I might both cry together when I ask this question.
Yeah.
What would you want your kids to know about their dad?
I want them to know that he loved them so much. He was a great dad. And like getting to see him be a dad was just really lovely. Like a different side to him. He was just so happy. Like 2 little boys. I'd want my kids to know that this wasn't their fault at all.
Amazing.
Because I really did like feel like if I wasn't good enough, and I feel like the self-worth for me after Alan died was just gone. And I worry that so much for them as well, that they're not going to think that they were good enough for their dad to see grow up. But they just need to know that he obviously struggled mentally, and I didn't know, I couldn't help him. And they just need to be honest and say that hopefully your dad's death will maybe help others, and hopefully help them like speak up and reach out and not be ashamed of their story.
Well, I think your kids can be absolutely proud not only of their dad but of their mum as well.
Thank you.
For all the work that she has done and continues to do.
Thanks.
Is it your plan to share with your kids openly about what happened?
Yeah, the boys know.
They do know.
They do know, the boys. My little girl, she's 3. She's delayed with her speech. I'm not sure if that'll be a conversation for her until a good few years down the line, wherever she gets to.
Okay.
But the boys know. They know it's a suicide.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
I wasn't planning on telling them, but I do think that connecting with others, especially at a place called Here, people that attend that were children at the time, and if it was covered up, if they heard down the line, some people found the suicide note, some people read death certificate and seen it on that, they were very, very resentful and almost had to go through that grief again. So I think the earlier you tell them, the better, and hopefully they can ask questions, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's really healthy and really helpful. We've had the suicide statistics for 2024 for Scotland. There's been a slight decrease, in fact, a decent decrease of 11%, but
it's not enough.
Well, it isn't, and it's not enough for the people who died in 2024. Exactly. And across the UK generally, we're not seeing that reduction. What do you think's going on? So, what are your thoughts on that?
I've got 10 points I've written down about why I do it.
You go to your points then.
I've got the points here. People struggle silently. The stigma still runs deep and people are afraid to ask for help in case they're seen as a burden, in case they're seen as weak, and in case they're seen as dramatic, that people aren't going to take them seriously as well. I think that's a big thing. The mental health system is at a total crisis. They're short staff. And I know myself, getting counselling in the NHS, you're waiting 6 months. And then when they gave me my appointments, I was on holiday for 2 of them, and that's me missed 2 of the 6 appointments. That's all you get. You're back on the waiting list. I think the main thing, poverty, is a huge thing. Deprivation areas, you're 2 or 3 more times likely to end your life. Cost of living for everybody is through the roof. I mean, even going to your food shop now, it's just astronomical.
Crazy.
It's crazy just to live. Debt, job loss, and being in that survival mode is not just worrying month to month about money, it's the emotional load every day of like on you. So I think like poverty and deprivation are huge areas of concern.
Yeah.
Social isolation, because especially as coming out of the pandemic, people don't really connect anymore, and I think social media's got a huge part to play in that as well. Instead of checking in with a friend, phoning them, asking how are you, they're just like a picture on Instagram and that's it, and you feel like because you've seen them on Instagram you kind of connected with them. And I think like isolation's just such a big huge part, feeling lonely as well.
Now, you're the Instagram, you need to be careful because you're the Instagram queen now, so you know you're
it's good things, but there's also a lot of bad things as well, you know that as well. I think trauma, I had a lot of friends I grew up with that went through childhood trauma, whether they're abused, domestic violence, or exposed to. When I was at school there was nothing but mental health. So now as adults they're dealing with that now, but a lot of people won't be able to deal with that, and they carry that for their whole life and hurt people I think as well. Addiction, drug use, alcohol use. Drug use in Glasgow, especially cocaine, is just as readily available now as going to the bar and getting a drink. So many dentists do it, so many high profile jobs do it. It's almost became elitist, but cocaine ruins life, addictions, and they're more likely to make impulsive decisions, I think, as well. Yeah. People have got too busy lives now. There's no time to listen. There's no time to ask for help either. Everyone's just so busy, wrapped up in their real lives, definitely. I feel there's big at-risk groups that are completely overlooked. Men, obviously, Alan, Cameron, young men, completely overlooked, not enough support. Autistic people that aren't diagnosed,
yes.
huge risk as well. And I kind of question maybe, was that Alan as well? Because 2 of my children are kind of waiting to get assessed as well. I think that's a big huge part. And there's obviously no statistics surrounding this, but 9 out of 10 widows that I've spoken to that have lost a husband by suicide, they've got an autistic child. And I strongly feel autism is genetic, hereditary. I think there should be a study on this because I'm just like, it's just so many similarities. It's such a really thing that I find kind of fascinating. It's sad, obviously, as well. There's a lack of continuity in care. So people attend A&E and that's it. There's no place for them to stay there, stay safe. No one's checking up in them. So you're not even safe in hospitals now. There's just so many issues, definitely. Yeah. I think that's my point. So we've got one more. This is a thing as well. I think you'll agree with this. You count the figures. So as you said, the suicide figures, people are like this amount of deaths every year. You don't count the people. You don't count every statistic, every person with somebody's everything. That's the thing as well.
Absolutely.
The media are only interested in how many people, not people that have lost to suicide. There's not enough in the media.
What I thought.
Yeah.
I think you've got 10 or 11 chapter headings for your book there. In the Canmore Trust, we're very keen to use the phrase, today's postvention is tomorrow's prevention.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a helpful concept?
Absolutely, because I don't think people realise that people like us are probably most at risk of suicide after our losses. When I phoned the GP and told them that Alan had died, she phoned me every day for 3 weeks, basically just to make sure I was still here and I wasn't suicidal, and she wouldn't be doing that out of the goodness of her heart. That's obviously statistics to back that up as well. Yeah. And a really scary statistic for me as well is children that have been bereaved by suicide, they're 25% more likely to die by suicide themselves. So you're already facing these kind of figures and not in your favour. So I think it's just so important to have that postvention support for the people that are left behind. And when I was coming here today, the person serving the shop, he was like, I know 5 people died by suicide, 3 dads and sons all knowing each other. It's sometimes the families, there's quite a lot in that. So yeah.
Absolutely. So we'll keep doing good quality postvention and hope that we help to save lives there. Yeah. We've talked a little bit about community, I guess. Mm-hmm. What does the term suicide community mean to you, and how important is it to you, if at all? Yeah,
it's a group that you as well, you don't want to be in it, but we're in it, we're kind of stuck in it, aren't we? Nobody, but it's a group we want to be a part of.
For sure.
Definitely, but it's a group of people like us that are bereaved by suicide, but also people that are struggling as well and have had ideas of suicide in the past, I think those people speaking up was really, really important as well. And I find it quite difficult when I meet people that have attempted to take their own life, because I just think they're still here and Alan's not. He could have got help as well. He could have done that. I find it difficult, but it's so important because they'll give people a light to know that they felt that dark and they're still here.
Yeah. If you could say something to Alan in his suicidal state, in the brokenness of that moment, what would you say to him?
Just say, just stay. Stay, that's it. Stay, and just tell him how much like he's loved, how much he's cared, and there's nothing that can't be fixed, or that's it as well. Like, I just think suicide, it's a permanent problem. It's a temporary problem. It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I think that sums it up perfectly. And just so ash.
And I think it's really important that we kind of lift that out, because we see a whole lot of people who are just completely broken by the thought that they can't go on because of gambling debt or sexual addiction or pornographic addiction or drug or alcohol addiction. But all of these can be fixed.
It's not going to be easy, but they can be fixed. And I just think if he had just stayed one more night, would his mind have changed tomorrow? And would he have got help? That's the thing as well. It's really, really hard to live with.
And I think perhaps minds go to, this can't be fixed because they think it has to be fixed tomorrow.
Yes, it's not like that at all,
And it's going to be a tough journey. Yes, it's going to take a lot of commitment and strength of character to get through this, but at least start the journey.
Exactly, at least start. And they could have been that person that somebody looks up to for hope as well, because obviously my 3 kids are going to grow up without a dad, and I've lost my husband, but we're still here. There's still hope. I think the person that's missed out the most in this is Alan.
Amazing.
That is, definitely.
Yeah. What a thought. Yeah. So the question I ask everyone in the Canmore Trust podcast, which is blank sheet of paper. Yeah.
Yes.
Blank sheet of paper, unlimited budget.
This is some budget, John. This is the biggest budget you've done.
What does Lisa Marshall want to do to reduce suicide?
I think, and you've spoken quite a lot about it as well, connection is so important. So the groups like A Place Called Here running is just so vital for people. But people that are struggling with mental health, they go to the doctor, you're waiting months to get seen. They might not be able to afford private counsellors, therapists. So I actually seen something opened up in Glasgow this week, is the Nook. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Places like that where you can just pop in, no judgment,
Amazing.
A cup of tea, a chat, absolutely amazing. I feel these things should be, not obviously Nook, but like there might be places available 24 hours, and obviously the helplines like Papyrus, because you could be in a crisis in the middle of the night when the world's asleep, and that can be the loneliest part, because I struggle with insomnia. So I feel that's at times I feel like quite lonely as well. I feel there needs to be so much more done in schools. There was nothing when I was at school, nothing at all about mental health. A follower actually messaged me and said that her 13-year-old child tried to take their own life a few years ago, and it's been a really, really hard journey for her family. So suicide affects children, really. It does, and like more needs to be in schools about mental health, being okay for asking for help, teaching kids about resilience, self-worth as well, because kids that go through trauma as well in their life, definitely. Counselling, the health system, a 6-month wait for counselling, and people that are suicidal.
2.5 years for me.
Yeah, it's in the health board, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But people have messaged me saying they went to the doctor saying they were suicidal, and they only get 6 sessions of counselling, that's all they get. How's that enough? It's not enough at all. It's really, really not. There's not enough beds in hospitals when people are trying to get sectioned. There's no place for them. So quite often this community mental health team will come out and they'll take all the belongings out their house to keep them safe. But there's, again, no postvention, no kind of help afterwards. The cost of living crisis, huge homelessness crisis, people are more at risk. Minimum wage, people on benefits as well. It's just not enough. And I feel there was such a stigma before, like people that aren't working on benefits. When Alan died, I had like absolutely no money coming in. All the bank accounts froze, and I ended up on universal credit, which is something that I never thought I would ever be on as a dentist, marrying a dentist. And I think it really shows everybody is one step away from losing it all. And the money I got from universal credit, I think it was like £700 a month, and then with the Scottish Child Payment, child benefit, for me and 3 kids, £1,400 is what I would get a month. And keep in mind, say obviously I had a house, but a council house maybe £500-600 rent. It's just nothing. They're not getting enough. It's really, really not. It's not. Definitely not. I've got more things as well.
Keep going.
Okay.
I'm thinking, the First Minister of Scotland shortly, if you're not careful.
people affected by suicide like us, I was so lucky you came out to visit me after Alan died. If I never had that connection with you, I would really just be left to it. There was no signposting, no help. This is where you go, nowhere to get my kids help. And I really wasn't in a position to try and find that for myself. So you really need, I feel like the police could have somebody coming out and being like supporting them like a family liaison officer. I never had that.
As a link person.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is what you can do going forward, because it's not just the early days, it's your whole lifetime to get through the trauma. Mental health support at the at-risk group for men, and there is a lot of men's group out there. There's actually not a lot of women's groups, but I find that's because women are taking care of the kids at home, and the childcare holds them back attending these meetings. I did see one, and it was a group for Nicola. I seen that.
Yes.
But there should be more ones for women as well, especially mother and babies, kids, postnatal depression, carers, neurodivergence, and the LGBT community as well. There's just not enough support ploughed into them, and those are really at-risk groups. Quite controversial, social media, and it's ironic saying this because obviously I'm on social media. I would ban it in under 16s. I feel social media and children, a lot of suicides, it's like bullying and Snapchat, things like that. I would just ban it. I think Australia are going through that right now. Yep. Also, when I post in TikTok, I'm not allowed to put hashtag suicide. It will get hidden, content won't get pushed out. Social media is great because you can find a lot of stuff about, you know, what we're doing, but sometimes it can get hidden as well. And I think a lot of platforms, they don't want to kind of push things out, but in case it encourages people to take their own life, like they don't want anything to do with suicide. It's like a buzzword, it's not getting seen, but I think it should be done in a safe way, the kind of content. I've got more points as well. Community funding, like walking groups. I think walking's so important. Talking like you do your walk every month at the Canmore Trust, which is amazing. Men's support, just like little community cafes, like just like kind of like the olden days probably. We can go in and have a chat like elderly as well. People with lived experience like ourselves that are involved in shaping policies, people that were suicidal shaping policies, because I think people have said to me, I don't want to hear from somebody unless they have been through the same thing. You have no right to judge. You can't take advice from somebody, a counsellor, unless they have been through the same thing. Yes, I can't even actually read my writing here. In the media, so when I do anything for the press, I'm not allowed to talk about the method that Alan died, and I think they say it's triggering. I don't know why, because I think if someone's going to take their own life, they'll find a method, and I feel that quite a lot of films, TV, books, they'll kind of shy away from suicide. They don't really see many kind of films with suicide in it. They'll shy away from it. Nobody really wants to touch it because it's taboo, but I feel that there should be more in it to show people like us actually feel the reality of it, definitely. So yeah.
Fascinating. What a great list.
The biggest budget ever. I know.
Yeah, I think we've just burst the
budget forever.
The national budget forever. But some great thoughts in there, and thanks for taking the time to consider that. Really, really important. So that kind of leads me to some important questions about keeping our community and keeping each other safe. Yeah. So what have you learnt about suicide over the last 2.5 years, and how would you want to prevent it? So 2 big questions. What have you learnt about suicide, and what would you want to do to prevent it?
The biggest thing I've learned about suicide is that it doesn't discriminate. It can happen to anyone. And I just need to go to a place called here, and each person is completely different. Walks of life, male, female, their ages. It can really happen to anyone. And I used to think it would just be people that had, as you're saying, like gambling problems, really tough things going on in their lives, and it doesn't. It can happen to anybody. You just need to look at the like celebrities like Robin Williams that, you know, take their own lives. That can really happen to anyone. And then how to prevent it, that's a really tough one.
That's a tough question, isn't it?
It's a really tough one. I think communication is key. Talking is key as well.
And taking that communication back into schools.
That's where it starts. That's where it starts. Continuous conversations.
Encouraging our young people to talk openly about mental ill health, but also about suicide, what it is, what it's not, and how to reach out for help. Yeah,
because I think when I was growing up, I knew about it, but you're almost like, people are probably scared to talk about it because it's uncomfortable and it's traumatic as well. So but it obviously needs to have these conversations, definitely. And you know, one of Alan's really good friends actually took his own life. He grew up with a few years before Alan, and he was really affected by it. So I'm really surprised that Alan done the same thing, knowing the devastation, knowing the effects it causes in families, definitely.
I guess we're now beginning to identify that there are higher risk professional groups as well, and higher risk jobs. So construction workers. Police, doctors, vets. Do you think we're doing enough to embed suicide prevention into undergraduate curricula and undergraduate training?
When I was at dental school, there wasn't that much. I remember being told by a lecturer that dentists have got the highest suicide rate. And it stuck with me, but I never thought it would actually play into place in my own life. There wasn't that much when I was at university, but I think that might have changed now. I feel there's like a wellbeing coordinator now in the dental school because the groups are so high in vets, medicine, doctors, nurses as well, the healthcare professionals. These are stressful jobs. They're jobs that almost consume your life, but I think it's the type of person that gets involved in these jobs as well. I think there's probably a huge rate of undiagnosed autism and not being able to cope with life as they get older as well, definitely.
Some big thoughts in there. A wee bit back to you again. You're incredibly busy. You're a full-time mum. We've seen inside your amazing house as you run it in the Widow Diaries. But I feel almost cheeky asking this question. What are your hobbies or pastimes?
Hobbies and pastimes. Before Alan died, I had no hobbies or pastimes. So I feel that's been really important now to actually build a life for myself because I'm on my own now. So hobbies, I love reformer Pilates, yoga, go to a few places for that. I got into weightlifting quite quickly after Alan died as well because I lost a lot of weight after Alan died, and I just felt, if I can get physically strong, I can maybe feel mentally strong. And so getting into that and just seeing friends. Writing's a huge part of me as well. I write all the time as well, and I feel I write because it's things that I couldn't actually say out loud at the time. So one day, I'm writing fiction right now, but I'd love to one day, and I'm sure you could do this as well, John, write a book on how you actually got through this. But I'm too early on my journey. If I sat here saying I've got a book how you get through this, I'm very much in the thick of it all right now. And
I'm halfway there. So I've been writing, but I've journaled every day since Cameron died. So one of the reasons I think journaling is really helpful, and you've really cracked this with your writing, is that you can encourage yourself by going back and looking at. So I'm now in journal 16 because I number them all. And journal 1 starts immediately. 2 police officers left my house, and I look back now at the open expression of the brokenness in my own suicidal thinking during that time. And it's a real affirmation for me. It's a real encouragement to me that I can get through this.
Yes, 100%.
And so we really encourage, the Canmore Trust really encourages people to journal. And you'll like this. We encourage people to buy not just a black book, but a fancy coloured book with glitter and stuff on it, and a purple pen. So the only time I use a purple pen is when I'm writing my journal. And it's like, I feel it's like a wee connection with Cameron. It's like a wee celebration. I'm only doing this because you died. But this is a wee celebration of your life.
That's absolutely amazing. For me, I like writing down. I did try initially to write about me, but I couldn't. So I actually fictionalised it because I had disassociated so much. So I have actually written a fiction story, and being a fiction as well, it means I can protect identities. But my story kind of goes through fiction, and it's about a widow trying to rebuild her life. And I've added comedy into it by trying to adding in basically going on disastrous dates, just kind of like Bridget Jones and things like that. But the moral kind of is that you have got to kind of heal yourself and fix yourself.
Fascinating.
Definitely. But I think as well, because a lot of people might be like, I'm not going to read a book about suicide, but somebody having dating disasters, absolutely, I'll pick that up. So it kind of ties them both in, definitely.
You obviously write. Do you read?
This is really funny. I read a few books when Alan died, but very, very few. One of the ones I've read and I really enjoyed was Option B by Sheryl Sandberg. And that was about a widow who lost her husband, just kind of going through that journey. She's American, but I read her book and I really enjoyed that. But I feel I struggle to concentrate after Alan died. I can't even sit and watch TV. My mind's just too restless. So I don't actually read. And I think when I'm writing my own, I'm quite good to not read because I'm not kind of getting anybody else's voice or ideas. So once my books are all finished, I'll definitely read.
Fantastic. Great. Are you watching any box sets or anything on television? Do you follow anything at all of that? Or is it just... Nah.
It's so funny. In my house, I've got 3 TVs downstairs and the kids have got YouTube, Netflix on every single one watching their things. And I feel by the time I get them to their bed and then go down and tidy up, there's no time to watch TV. And everybody said to me at the start, you need to be watching reality TV, mindless shows just to take your mind off it. So I do want to watch Selling Sunset because I love interior design, I love houses, and that kind of brings in the absolute drama of these people's lives, plus all of the real estate in LA. So I want to watch that. I do.
Well, that's really interesting because this is something I haven't actually shared very publicly. I don't think. In the early time after Cameron died, I sat down at 5:15 every night to watch Pointless. And it was only in therapy later that I realised the importance of that. So 2 things were happening. One was I was saying that my life was pointless. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I entered into my own suicidal crisis. But secondly, I was sitting down sometimes with a glass of whiskey, sometimes with a cup of tea, sometimes with anything, which was my reward. And I was saying to myself, well done.
Getting through the day.
You've got through the day.
I should really do that at night, like a cup of tea and watch something on TV. I really should, and that's, I'm not taking time out for myself. You're just burnt out. And
can I encourage you to do that?
Definitely, that's a great thing. With a cup of tea and a biscuit, I'd love that. The thing I'd done as well, I don't know about you, I never really drank in my house much. I never drank in my house. After Alan died, I was like, oh, I might have a wee drink at night. I feel it's a very slippery slope, and alcohol as well, like binge drinking, it's easy to do because you forget what's happened, but I'm very careful with alcohol now as well, definitely.
I am too, because I was sitting down sometimes with a double whiskey at 5:15 at night, and Isabel, my wife, said after a few weeks, any chance we could substitute that just for a cup of tea? Yeah. And I actually wasn't getting any huge benefit out of the alcohol. It was just the routine of doing that and saying, well done, John, a pat in the back, you've got through another day.
Yeah, I feel if I drank more, like in nights out, for example, you would forget what had happened, and I can see why people would turn to alcohol as a coping mechanism. Completely. But then obviously on the other hand, I'm a sole mum of 3, so the next day hungover, I can't do that with 3 kids. It was not worth it at all. So that quickly put a stop to that.
Lisa, we've covered a lot of ground today, and I'm really grateful to you, but there's just a few more questions. But perhaps the most important question I ask anyone who comes to the Canmore Trust podcast, and that is, if someone is listening or watching this podcast and they are suicidal, they believe that they can't be here anymore, what would you want to say to them?
Want to tell them to tell someone, reach out, just one person. You don't need to figure out why you feel that way. You don't have to have all the answers to fix tomorrow, as you said, but just reach out, tell one person. And there was something that I heard from a man that came from a men's group. It was men with issues, and he said he was actually stopped. And what that person said to him when he was about to take his own life was, do it tomorrow. And you think, what? Do it tomorrow? He's still here today. Yeah. Because he changed his mind. And I think that's so important as well, because if you just stay, definitely, your life is worth living. There's always hope. Your somebody's everything, and the trauma that will leave behind your family and friends, but they still get to live their life. We still have a life, and of course it's difficult, but we still have hope, and there's so many amazing things. I'm sure you have that as well, these happy things that happen in life that's forever. You're like, oh, I wish they were here to see that.
I'm a grandpa now.
I know.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah,
just amazing.
Yeah.
So have you any regrets or unfulfilled aspirations for your life? I assume there's a huge regret, and we've talked about it for the last 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
You've lost Alan, that's a huge regret. Yes. Have you any other regrets?
I think, and I don't like to say this because I know that there's nothing that I could have done, but obviously a huge regret not knowing something was wrong and getting help. And I feel that anybody that's left behind like me and you can't help but feel that. What if? You can't help but feel that guilt. You can't help but feel like, I wish I could have helped them. I really wish, like, why could I not have seen that? And it's a shame to, have that hanging over you, because there's nothing, we can't change the outcome, obviously. But I think it's really hard. There's definitely times that I could have behaved better, been more compassionate to others, especially in the early days of grief when you're just trying to protect like your family and things like that. But I suppose all those kind of experiences, even the past, like they shape who you are today, the regrets and the mistakes as well, definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
But I guess legacy grows out of that, and you become the better person, you become the more compassionate, empathic individual.
Absolutely. Aspirations. My cousin immigrated to Australia last year, so I one day want to go and visit her and her family. But I don't know if you've been to Australia before.
I have. My brother lives in Australia.
Where does he live?
He lives in Noosa Heads, Queensland coast, up in the east coast.
My cousin's in Perth, and MD that's going to family in Australia, it's about $2,000 a flight to go out and visit, and I obviously want to take my kids out as well, so that's something I want to do the next few years and visit her. I miss her terribly, but I'm so proud that she's like living the life that she wants, definitely. Amazing. Yeah. Well,
maybe once all the fiction starts to sell and you're this
fingers crossed,
supersonic author.
Fingers crossed, yeah. It'd be nice one day to get back into the world of work as well. I do miss having a job. I think that's a huge part as well, like that connection, that purpose. And I feel the social social media and writing gives me some sort of purpose. Being here today feels like I've done something, and it's like a job, definitely. So yeah.
Wonderful. My last question, and it's a really important question, because as we share, there's always a risk that we get re-traumatized. So my really important question is, how will you stay safe today?
I think for me, recognising that I'm going to have bad days and good days. And I think when I'm doing like counselling, I tried EMDR, I was like, I want to be that person before the suicide. I want to be back to that person that didn't worry about things like this, but that person's gone and I'm left with what I have now. So realising that I'm going to have bad days, but good days will come. And when I do have bad days, connecting with friends, telling them how I feel, family as well, counselling obviously as well. Realising that I'm going to be triggered by things as well, and that happens even now, and I'm sure you have that as well.
Indeed.
But, you know, recognising triggers, maybe preventing before you kind of are exposed to them and things as well, and just connection with others and staying safe, just knowing as well that it's okay not to be okay, it's okay to reach out. I'm not a superwoman, I can't do it all as well, definitely.
Does lifting weights help?
It does, yeah. But my personal trainer, she's been absolutely amazing. I've worked with her since Alan died. I came and joined her gym after, you know, a month after he took his own life, and I've seen her once, twice a week, every week since then. She's actually moving gyms, and the one she's going to is going to be more personal, like group PT. So I'm going to have to now learn everything that she's taught me and join a commercial gym myself and go myself. And I think, you know, I'll
challenge.
Definitely, I need to keep it up, definitely.
Yeah. Have you ever punched the wall or thrown plates against the wall in all the last 2.5 years?
Do you know what? I've not. And the thing is as well, I think it's really important to get anger out, and boxing would be a really great thing, because especially as a woman, we don't walk about being angry, and having that anger built inside, you'll come out when you're like snapping at the kids or your mum and things like that. So I think it's really, really important to get that out, definitely.
Yeah. Lisa, I can't tell you how much I've been moved by just spending time with you and hearing your story. I'm so sorry for what you've lost. I'm so sorry for what you're going through. And I just thank you for just keeping going and putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
But doing so much more than that and touching so many lives.
Thank you.
Please just keep going. And the hugs are here and the community's here forever. So thank you so much for being on the Canmore Trust podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so sorry for what you've lost too, and everything that you've built in his legacy has been absolutely amazing. You're so inspiring, so thank you.
You're very kind.
Well,
thanks, Lisa.
Thanks.
So thank you for being part of this, the Canmore Trust podcast. We hope you have benefited from being with us. Your safety is paramount to us here at Canmore, so if anything of today's discussion has activated concerns about you, your own safety, please do reach out. You can engage with the Canmore Trust any time of the day or night by texting Canmore to 85258. That's CANMORE to 85258. Or you can call the Papyrus 24/7 Hope line on 0800 068 4141. That's 0800 068 4141. Or you can call the Samaritans any time of the day or night on 116 123 116 123. The Canmore Trust's website, www.thecanmoretrust.co.uk, has an extensive list of resources for anyone seeking help on any aspect of well-being, mental ill health or suicide. Please access it and please use that resource. So if you're struggling, please reach out. And if you're concerned about someone else, please reach out. Thank you for being with us. See you in another episode of the Canmore Trust podcast.